The following is an extract from Martyn Bedford's Flip, read by Connor Devlin and featuring music from the Stanley parable composed by Blake Robinson.
Alex couldn't have said what it was that woke him up that morning. It might have been the weird dream, or Dad calling up the stairs, or the sunlight streaming into the room. He lay in bed with that leftover adrenaline feeling of having been jolted out of a nightmare, forgotten the instant you wake up, but which vibrates in your mind like the aftershock of a slammed door. His legs were tangled in the duvet, and his right arm was trapped beneath him, useless with pins and needles. He eased onto his back. Another shout. "Come on, you're going to be late!" Late for what? It was a Saturday. He didn't have to be anywhere. His dad sounded strange. There was that familiar tone. "I'm really losing my patience now!" But something else that he couldn't put his finger on. Probably he was just in one of his strops. Had Dad been cross with him when he'd come home last night? Alex couldn't recall. As it happened, he had no recollection of coming in at all, but obviously he must have done. The last thing he remembered was leaving David's at 5 to 10 and running to beat his curfew. They had spent the evening playing chess. Of course, he had won. Surfing YouTube, listening to the Killers, the usual. He made a fist and then unclenched it. The pins and needles were gone, but his arms still felt clumsy. All his limbs and joints seemed heavy, and his mouth tasted foul. If he was sickening for something on the first weekend of the Christmas holiday, well now, that would just be so typical. But he didn't feel ill. Well, Alex wasn't sure how he felt exactly. Just out of sorts. A fragment of his nightmare resurfaced. A ladder, or a staircase, or maybe it was a hill. Well, it was steep anyway, and he was scrambling up it as fast as he could, with some creature grabbing at his feet and Alex trying to kick himself free. What happened next, he didn't know. That must have been when he woke up. Maybe it was all to do with his legs being twisted in the bedding. "Philip, it's 8:05! Come on!" No way could it be 8:05, with all this sunshine. More like 10 or 11. Alex looked at the alarm clock on his bedside table. Except the clock wasn't there. Nor was the table. Instead, there was a wall. And the wall wasn't blue and silver stripes anymore. It was a plain pale yellow. Now he thought about it, the daylight was coming in from the wrong angle. Alex sat up. The window wasn't where it should have been. And those weren't his curtains either. That wasn't his wardrobe. Those weren't his shelves. That wasn't his CD player. And those definitely were not his posters. Basketball? Cricket? And the carpet had been replaced by bare floorboards and a huge red and gold rug that looked like something out of Aladdin. Where was his clarinet stand, his music stand? How come his desk, which wasn't his desk and wasn't where it should have been, had a flat-screen PC on it? And why was his room so big? Alex tried to figure out whose room this might be, whose house, and what on earth he was doing there. Why he was wearing another boy's t-shirt instead of his own pajamas. Why, in December, was there a thin summer duvet on the bed? And if that man bellowing up the stairs again wasn't his father, then whose was he? Well, Philip's, presumably. Oh, of course! Philip! Yes, it was Philip that he was cross with, not Alex. In another bedroom, Philip was failing to get up in time for something. Oh yes, it was Philip who was the key to all of this. The rational explanation. Dad reckoned that there was a rational explanation for everything. even things that made no sense at all. UFOs, ghosts, God. Well, they're just the names people come up with for stuff they haven't worked out yet. So, the rational explanation. On his way home from David's, Alex had dropped by at Philip's place and ended up crashing there for the night. Now he'd woken up too dopey, too confused to remember doing so. Like when you go on holiday and that first morning you wake up surprised to find yourself in an unfamiliar bedroom. The part of his brain that expected him to be in his own room, his own home, was disoriented, failing to compute the messages his eyes were sending it. Yes, that was it. Any moment now it would all come back to him. That was it. The logical, reasonable, and rational explanation. Which would have been fine, had Alex actually known anybody called Philip.